Welcome back. In this week's video, I wanted to talk about a subject which up until recently I was not very knowledgeable about, and that is shared iPads in a business environment. Up until just a while ago, shared iPads were really more used in, and are still used in, a classroom setting. But Apple has made some changes, and different MDM providers like Addigy specifically have adopted a shared iPad for business model as well. So I just thought it would be helpful to walk through what the setup of that looks like and some of the advantages of being able to have shared iPads. So shared iPads are built around managed Apple IDs. So you have all the caveats that you normally have with managed Apple IDs, not having access to all of the services. There is more documentation on Apple's website about what managed Apple IDs can and can't do. The first thing you'll want to do is make sure you have at least one managed Apple ID created in Apple Business Manager. You can also get on the road of creating those using your domain, so federating those so that your email address is the managed Apple ID. That topic is probably something we can cover in another video in more in depth. But just know to have a shared iPad, you have to have the users created as managed Apple IDs. So in our Addigy here, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the policy that I have it set up in, and that is the CIT test environment. So when we're in this policy, there are a couple of important things you have to know first. One, you have to have MDM obviously set up. Two, you have to have automated device enrollment configured, because that is where the iPads are getting that shared iPad experience from. You can also do this if you are putting devices in with Apple Configurator. There is an option to have them as shared iPads when they're getting enrolled in the MDM server from there. But the easiest way is if you have them in Apple Business Manager. You'll wipe the iPad. If you have your settings set up here, like I'll show you, it'll just get created as a shared iPad when it checks in to get activated. So what we're going to take a look at are the settings under the ADE enrollment. In here, we have an option for enable shared iPads. So that means if that's checked, that any iPad that gets enrolled in this automated setup will get put into a shared iPad mode. So it's important to know that you may want to create different automated settings for different groups of devices in Apple Business Manager if you're making some shared iPads. So basically you have 4 different options to set up how user accounts work. You can use none, which will basically let you put an unlimited number of users on the device. Again, they would all have to be managed Apple IDs in your organization still, but there's no limiting the number of them. 2, you can set the number of max users. So I only want a max of 5 users on each device. You can also then set the auto lock, the password lock grace period, and the user session timeout. You can set it by quota size. So that is setting a megabyte amount for how many users can keep getting added up to a certain storage amount. And you can have it so that it is only a guest user experience. So no managed Apple IDs would be needed. You can just use it like a guest iPad. Now the guest sessions, every time you log out, are gonna wipe all the data off of the session. So if there are any logins, any local data stored, that will all get wiped. Now, when you log back in, you're still able to control what apps and what settings and things like that are showing up, but it's gonna get reset like a fresh iPad every time you log out. And once you have that the way you like it, you can click Save Settings, and that will get pushed out. Okay, so I'm gonna show you on the iPad what it looks like from the login screen. So you can see here that I have 2 users already created that are just test users that I have. So you can select either of those and it'll ask you to log in. Or you can do another user by going to the other user section. And there it'll ask you to sign in with a Apple ID and a password. You can also do the guest option, which is down here. So that will tell you before logging in that your data will not be saved. Press the home button to sign in. And once in there, you will get the settings and apps that you've pushed out. So when you're ready to log out, you just lock the screen. And when you could either wait for the timeout period, or you can go down here to the sign out and it will take you back to the regular login screen. Another cool integration that Addigy has with all of this is you are able to see what devices have logged into a shared iPad, and you're able to delete them or log them out. So let's take a look at that. If we go to one of the iPads that I have in this test environment, the first thing we want to say is this iPad a shared iPad? So Addigy has a custom fact for this. We can type in shared iPad, and it says true that it is a shared iPad. So that's great. So the next thing we can do is go under device commands, and we'll see two unique commands to shared iPads, and that's delete users and log out users. So under log out users, you'll be able to see what users are currently logged in, and you'll be able to log them out just by clicking that command. We can also delete those users by going to here and delete users, and it will tell you what users have currently signed in, and you can click delete, yes, delete, and it only lets you do one at a time, and that user will then be deleted from the iPad. If we come back in here and do the second one, so if we go back to our iPad view, you can now see that there are no recent users showing up on my iPad here, and it's just giving me the first login screen to put a new Apple ID. Before there was a recent option here that would have to take me to that, but now we just have the guest and the regular login. With shared iPads, you're also able to use all of the same features like MDM profiles and pushing out apps, and something I found really helpful with setting up some shared iPads was using the home screen layout so that every user has the same experience when they log into the iPad for the first time that you would expect across the board. The one caveat I also discovered was that you're not able to set a passcode or a PIN code to unlock the device. Users have to use their long form passcode to log in every time. I hope that's a good starting place for you in using shared iPads in business. If you have any questions about shared iPads or Addigy in general or MDM, I'd love to help you and your business come up with a solution for those. I can be reached at the Mac Admin Slack channel, Marshall_CIT, via email, marshall@cranstonink.com or at cranstonit.com. Thanks so much for watching.